Hey, this is my boom, boom, boom show. A lot of information, and I'm pleased to have as a guest Frank Zelenko, whose brother was Dr. Zelenko of blessed memory, and of these fantastic pills which I take every single day. Where they there we go. And would you like to relate the message from your brother or related subjects?
Absolutely. What what would be preferable is if it's possible to play the 2 minute video like directly so people could see for
Yeah,
themselves, and then maybe I can add a little bit,
yeah, that'd
explain
be
what you
great.
meant by that. So
Yeah, let me try that again. You might.
A class of viruses called single-stranded RNA viruses. And some of those viruses include all the COVID strains, influenza virus, RSV virus, Marburg virus, Ebola virus, hantavirus, and there are a few others. The point being is that they all are single-stranded RNA viruses that use the same common pathway in making copies of their genetic material. That's something called RNA-dependent RNA polymerase. That's what I've been talking about for the last 2 years in the context of COVID-19. But if we extrapolate that to think more broadly, then it's the same mechanism of treatment using zinc ionophores, and zinc could inhibit all the strains of COVID-19, influenza virus, RSV virus, Ebola virus, Marburg virus, and hantavirus. This has tremendous amount of national security implications, and I don't think anyone realizes this. And so I'm pleading with our scientists and the honest people in our government to investigate this, because as the recent chatter in the news is going, we're seeing hemorrhagic fever from China. There's concern about Marburg virus, hantavirus, and Ebola virus. These viruses carry, to some estimates, 90% death rates. So I think um, there may be a solution to all these huge public health and bioterrorist problems, all with one simple, cheap, oral approach. Basically,
That's the end of it.
yeah, that was the main. There was like the, a little bit longer. There's a couple of more seconds, but he doesn't add any new information there. So that's as
Okay.
long as Twitter would let me upload. So yeah.
All right.
Um, yeah. So what he was talking about, there's a category of viruses among which COVID is one of them, and this category is called single strand RNA viruses. Okay, and he mentioned some of the other viruses besides COVID in this category, but I'll just kind of run through them quickly. He mentioned Marburg, which has been in the news, and also polio has been in the news, and dengue, RSV, Ebola, the flu, Hanta, and several others like hepatitis E, and uh, there's Coxsackie, I believe, and Retro and Entero, and there's it's there's a longer list. There's a lot of viruses that now what puts all these viruses together in the same category is how they well one of the things that puts them together is how they reproduce. So apparently, and I'm not an expert, I'm just parroting what I heard from him. So they would go inside your cells, and then they would begin to take apart your cell from the inside, and then use that material to create more versions of itself, and then it would infect more cells. Okay, so uh, apparently zinc, just regular zinc that's in your food, that's in the supplements, interferes with that process.
Okay.
So the problem is that zinc has it doesn't get into the cell very easily because the cell membrane rejects it. or most of it, or if any zinc gets into the cell, it's not in enough amounts to actually do anything towards the virus. So you need something to help it, to help the zinc get inside the virus and interfere with the viral replication. So those substances are called zinc ionophores. Okay, there's 4 that I know of. There might be more out there, but generally, what my brother taught me is that there is hydroxychloroquine,
Right. I remember that one.
and the related, like chloroquine, which is another version of it, which has been around for like 80 years. People have been taking like medium to high doses of it for their whole lives. In some cases, even servicemen stationed in the tropics with no problems whatsoever. A lot of long-term data. So that's one, hydroxychloroquine. Then you have ivermectin, slightly more recent, but still been around for a long time and, relatively safe. So far, the 2 things I mentioned are safer than Tylenol.
Right.
And then you have these 2 supplements that you don't even need a prescription for. One of them is quercetin, and the other one is EGCG. So EGCG is extracted from green tea, as far as I understand. But I don't think you're going to drink enough green tea to get the concentration. So obviously the 2 supplements, the ones that you can get in the vitamin shop, are significantly weaker than their prescription versions, like hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin. But in places like Canada and places like Israel and England and Australia, stupid countries where people couldn't get prescriptions at all for either hydroxychloroquine or ivermectin, quercetin and EGCG literally saved their lives, because during the 2 years that my brother was treating patients, we were getting phone calls from literally every country on earth, like even Papua New Guinea. I'm telling you the truth, okay? And so there are so many people from Canada and from Australia that were like so desperate. What can we do? We can't get hydroxychloroquine. We can't get, ivermectin. So quercetin and EGCG saved their life. They made it. Talking about high risk people, elderly people, people with lots of chronic issues. So again, the zinc ionophores would help zinc get into the cell to interfere with the virus. Are hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, quercetin, which is a supplement, and EGCG, which is a supplement. Okay, so when you combine that with zinc, okay, that's what interferes with viral replication. And before my brother passed away, he was telling me about studies where the protocol that he was using to treat COVID, again, like a zinc ionophore taken together with zinc, was already shown to be effective against RSV, which is a virus that puts like 60,000 children a year in the hospital in the United States. Around the world, I don't know. And a lot of elderly people too. So, and also he was telling me about studies. I don't know if they were published yet. I think they were already. That it's effective against the flu. The various forms of the flu. And they're pushing all these vaccines. They're going to push the flu vaccine like crazy right now. Then they're introducing malaria. I just wanted to say on the side that malaria is it's not a virus, as far as I understand. It's a parasite, which travels in the bloodstream. But amazingly, well, hydroxychloroquine was always used to treat malaria. Right.
Oh, good.
Yeah. For many, I think its original purpose. It's been treating malaria successfully.
Right, I heard that.
But
so those mosquitoes that Bill Gates is, everybody's saying Bill Gates has mosquitoes to bite people and introduce,
he's spoken about it. He's
into...
literally spoken about it and admitted it. They're not hiding. Anybody who just listens to their speeches and reads their books, you know what they're doing. But what's amazing is that I just recently I read some studies. Not that I qualify to really interpret studies like in PubMed, but I can read the abstract, and there are several studies that are saying quercetin also helps against malaria. The supplement quercetin. So my I just wanted to, for a minute,
Yeah.
talk about.
Well, we'll list them all in the description, won't we, Jake? We'll leave a big description in your information so
Yeah.
people can, because we're trying to help people realize what's happening and what's
I have
coming. 'Cause
graphics and
don't you think that the the pandemic, that was just their test case? Don't you think?
yeah, I do think so. I think they were just warming up. They wanted to see what they can convince people to do. They wanted to see if they could convince people to walk into, their, it's not even a metaphoric gas chamber. They literally just go and kill yourself and say thank you for it.
Yeah.
And none of it was necessary. And I have to say, like, of all the politicians or anybody that ever went on TV and that had a reach, it was Trump. Trump is the only one that ever mentioned my brother's protocol. Literally everybody else censored it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a big outrage. I remember it.
He said it during every one of those COVID, what do they call it?
Press conference.
The press conferences, the ones with the crisis team. I forgot that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he mentioned it every time he got on TV, with Fauci.
Well, we'll continue to talk about it, and I really appreciate you being on, and I'm glad your baby went to sleep or whatever.
He's not. He's just drinking a pot. He's drinking milk. So.
Well, can I ask a question? Because
Sure.
we're familiar with the product because we took it.
Yeah, we take
during
it.
COVID.
I take it.
We all
every day.
take it. I know a lot of people.
Does it? It has all that stuff
Yeah.
in it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Quercetin.
Yeah. So
and-
I'll put that too.
It's important.
Since I started taking this, I have not gotten sick, and I did get sick a lot because I didn't get the vaccine, but you know what? The flus I got when I did get COVID wasn't that bad.
No.
Yeah, that's what people are telling me. But I just wanted to make it clear that what the Z-Stack products, right? That's one of them. These are prophylaxis. These are preventative protocols.
Yeah.
If somebody actually has, like a full-blown infection, so there's a treatment protocol which you need to speak to a doctor. And I was hoping, I don't know if you have time today, I was hoping to kind of give a breakdown of the treatment protocol, what a person would do if, when the stuff hits the fan and it's time to, you got to do something about it. So I don't know if you guys...
Yeah. What should we do when the stuff hits the fan?
So, okay.
Are we talking about the malaria bugs when we all Bill Gates kills us, or?
This is talking about ssRNA viruses like Marburg and things that are related to COVID, similar to COVID, like the flu, and RSV and Hanta. So basically, hang on, I have it here. So the treatment options for people who are moderate to high risk patients, right? So obviously they would start with elemental zinc or just a zinc supplement, right? 50 to 100 milligrams once a day, right? That's the zinc. And then it should be taken with either hydroxychloroquine, 200 milligrams twice a day for 5 to 7 days. Or you can switch out the hydroxychloroquine with ivermectin, right? And that one's a little more complex to explain because you have to dose ivermectin based on body weight. So the way my brother would do it, he would dose it like 0.4 to 0.5 milligrams per kilogram, right? Like you would weigh yourself, convert that number pounds into kilograms, and then multiply that by 0.5, let's say.
Okay. And
then whatever the number is, that would be your dose in milligrams. And then you take that for 5 to 7 days instead of the hydroxychloroquine. Okay. And then you would also need a broad spectrum antibiotic. My brother used azithromycin, by far the most, 500 milligrams once a day for 5 days. If some people can't take azithromycin, so he would prescribe doxycycline, 100 milligrams 2 times a day for 7 days. Okay. And then he'd also throw in vitamin D, about 10,000 international units for about 7 days. Okay. And vitamin C, 1,000 milligrams. So that's the basic protocol, that's if somebody catches, it early and they're aware of their symptoms. They start that right away. It's very likely they don't need anything else. And again, we're talking about the high
Yeah.
risk. We're talking about
Of
high
course,
risk.
we say go to your physician, right, and discuss it with
Yeah.
him or her.
Yeah.
But
But I want people to know what they should be hearing from their physician. And so,
Right.
and the last thing,
appreciate that.
and the last thing is for people, let's say, who don't get started early in treating themselves, right? Let's say they wait 5 days or whatever, they're making it, they're deciding what to do about it, and they get a little sicker than they need it to be. So, so that's when my brother would include steroids, primarily like dexamethasone, which he would dose that like 6 to 12 milligrams one time a day. I don't know how he decided what the dosage was for that particular thing. He made that determination. Some people don't want to take dexamethasone. They can take prednisone, 20 milligrams twice a day for 7 days. Taper is needed. And then there's another medicine he would use was budesonide, which people would kind of like breathe in, right? And there's through a nebulizer, and you take that about twice a day for 7 days. But that's, this is, as I'm going forward now with these medications, these are people who with progressively worse conditions, right?
Okay.
So if the steroids that I just mentioned weren't enough, then he would usually put in blood thinners.
Wow.
Normally like Eliquis, but even aspirin sometimes if people didn't have access. And then, and this is important, there's this gout medication called colchicine.
I've heard that. Yeah.
Yes, colcicine, colchicine, 0.6 milligrams, 2 to 3 times a day for 7 days, and that's for inflammation. That would help. And then, at the end, he would include on this list monoclonal antibodies, which is it is effective, but it's not as effective as what we just mentioned on this list. It's super expensive, difficult to get, and you have to go to a hospital, and it's not always available. But it is effective, so people should know about it.
Okay.
That's what
I wish your brother had left us a guideline of what doctors were good to consult with.
Yeah.
I wish he had told us what doctors were good.
He wishes that
and
too.
who was bad, who was compromised.
Yeah,
So,
that's a hard thing. You got to find a doctor that's willing to do this.
So let me tell you, there's a couple. Here's where I would send people when my brother couldn't treat them anymore. Okay, there's a telemedicine company called the Wellness Company, where you can have consultations, and they'll prescribe as needed. They'll prescribe as protocol. Another place that I would send people is this place called Synergy Health, DPC. And I was grateful to these services because, there's only like a handful of doctors in the whole world that would do this. All their patients survived. A handful of doctors that they adopted my brother's protocol, and their patients survived. So, so there are services available, but I would say the majority of doctors still won't do it.
Yeah, it seems like there was that.
What a terrible time we're in.
Yeah.
What a terrible time we're in, where we can't trust not only our government on any level, but the medical association either.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
well, we miss your brother, so if he's up there and hears us at all, maybe he can start working on somebody down here to put a list of decent doctors together for people who will need access to decent medical care. Because flu season comes up in the fall, right?
Yeah, that's right. Malaria is going to be an issue come September as well.
In America, or are you talking globally?
In America, yeah.
Really?
Even a little bit before. So people need to be aware of that. I just want to say one thing. My brother, he started this like supplement company after he lost his practice, because of lots of things. And but he, can I quickly tell you this one terrible experience that I had? There was a lady who was a little bit senile. She's from Montana, and she called me, obviously trying to reach my brother. And I was the one dealing with the patients. And, she wanted to buy the Z-Stack. That's what she said. I want to buy the Z-Stack because, I'm scared. I'm scared of the COVID. So I told her, I was like, you know, you should, you could order the Z-Stack if you want, but you should, if you can, you go to a vitamin shop now, and you can get all these ingredients separately. That you can have them like today if you're going to go and just get them from whatever companies, whatever you see. Okay, just have it. And then if you want to order Z-Stack, which puts all that in one capsule or two capsules, then you could do so. But don't wait around for that for the 2 or 3 weeks that it might take to get to you, depending on where you are in the world. Okay, because my brother told me to say that, and that made sense because he wants people to have it. It doesn't matter to him if you're ordering it from him or from
Right.
I just wanted people to know that don't if you can't get the Z-Stack, then don't wait around. Get whatever you can. Go to the supermarket, go to your vitamin shop, and just get the ingredients: quercetin, zinc, vitamin D, vitamin C.
Okay. And real quick, why do you think malaria is coming into? Is it because of the Bill Gates stuff, or?
It's definitely the Bill Gates stuff on several levels. People are talking about the mosquitoes, these engineered mosquitoes, but also because of the migrant situation. They're bringing malaria through. You can look into the work.
They're definitely trying to bring disease here.
Open border completely. Nobody's getting checked for anything. Fighting age young men. They're spreading malaria in Panama right now because they're going through the Darien Gap. I highly recommend looking at Michael Yon's work. He's a war correspondent. He's there now. He's always there at and he was meeting with the locals in Panama that live near the Darien Gap, and entire tribes are getting sick with malaria and all sorts of, which are being brought over by these migrants that are coming from 140 countries.
Is there, with that protocol, you said you had some text of the protocol. Is that something I can put in the description or graphic, or do you have
absolutely.
Okay.
Should I send you the link right now, or?
I'll put it in later.
We have a few days to edit.
Yeah, I want to make sure.
Let's end it now because we're going to go too long.
Okay.
So this is a boom, boom, boom show, and you're one of 3 guests of fantastic information that I want people to hear. And thank you so much for being on, and we'll include all the information that people can do. And also, you can make hydroxychloroquine yourself out of grapefruit rind. You can go on Google and figure out how to do it. Yeah.
Never heard that.
Yeah.
I heard that too. I'm not, there's also, just before we go off, my Bill Gates was scaring people with monkeypox. A while ago too. So my brother, he discovered, somebody showed him this article from the Lancet. The Lancet.
Yeah, they did fake news. The Lancet.
But the Lancet has been around for like 160 years, and this is an article from the 1860s, where doctors were using Sarracenia purpurea, the purple pitcher plant. They were making decoctions from the purple pitcher plant, and they were treating smallpox, which is related to monkeypox. And so, he really wanted people to know about that too. He wanted to throw as many monkey wrenches, in Bill Gates and co as possible. So.
Yeah, I want to throw the monkey wrench in too. Well, thank you so much, and we'll have you on again, and we'll keep talking about it.
Yeah, thank you, Frank. And remember, leave your computer open.
Yeah, guys, I'm very grateful for this opportunity.
Of course. Thank you so much. Thanks for keeping his work alive.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. I am NJ. All right.